video.
I want to thank everybody to the second workshop in the HOPE formula, the I Want to Know Right Now series. And of course, the first thing we have to do is our breathing exercise. I've already done mine, but I'm going to do it again because I can really like doing it as much as I need to. So if everybody would take a minute, palms together like you're going to pray. Breathe out, raise your hands toward the ceiling. Blow out when we do the circle motion, coming down. Let the air completely out of your lungs as much as you can. Think about how powerful and wise you are. Think about that place that you're going to be in your vision that gives you peace and power and tranquility and all those good things that you're searching for. I am a powerful and knowledgeable human. After you do this enough times, you'll almost immediately feel yourself connecting to the universe, to God, through your omnipotence. You'll feel the energy coursing through your body as you do that exercise. And it'll get to a point where it's just automatic and you'll just feel it. You'll just feel the love coursing through you.
Could I ask a couple questions about that process?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay, when you're doing the hand movement, at what point are you doing the intake and at what point are you doing the exhale?
I take the intake all the way in until I am here, right? My lungs are full when I'm here. I start blowing out this way, like this, blowing out, 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 blowing out until I get it all out. And it, depending on how long it takes to get all the air out, because you want your lungs, you want everything to be empty, because what you're doing is you're expelling everything out as you're reaching that energy level, pushing it all out and then breathing it back in. Till you get here again, and then blowing back out again as you're pinnacling again. Okay?
Okay.
Something I want to show you guys tonight before we go too far. I want to show you this right here. For those of you that can see my screen, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so when we're doing this, especially when we're doing it together, what we have here is we got Da Vinci's Man. And the thing that, I got so much I want to share with you guys in this thing, and I'm jumping ahead here a little bit because I want you guys to understand the power of resonant thinking, the power of resonance in a group. And what you're seeing here is you're seeing your extremities. You're seeing these red things. If you can see it clear, those are your heart, right? Those are your brain. You see your brain in your brain. So one of the things that we learn through these through these exercises and through the study of vibrational resonance is that when a group of people, first of all, when we connect our heart and our brain, that's how our honesty navigation system is working to trigger our responses and our intake of energy. And the extremities are our receptors. When we are in a group full of people and we're resonating together, the power of our affirmations are exponentially expanded in the ability to reach and communicate with God. So when you look at these frequency waves here, that's what that represents at the bottom of this picture. If you take two pebbles and you drop them in the water, if they hit at the exact same time, the waves that are created by that pebble hitting the water, when they coalesce, if they're dropped at the exact same time, they're dropping at the same. The waves are resonating. When they come together, they'll exponentially grow. If they're out of resonance, if they're dropped at two different times, the waves will cancel each other out when they come together. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to give you guys a little touch of that tonight before we get too far and where we're going with what we're. When we get into the omnipotent piece of this thing and into our pure love piece of this thing, you'll see how all of this comes together to function as an individual and as a group, to form a team and to affirm a goal or an affirmation of where it is we're going to be as human beings and individuals and as groups. This is how prayer works. Whoops, I didn't mean to zoom that in like that. This is how prayer works. This is how, when you come away from a church, how people feel so much more empowered when they come away from a group. Does that make sense? No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I just want to share that with you because there's so much we have to learn and so much we're going to do together in our condensed thing here, that when you start, if you can just grasp the idea of the power of matched frequencies and the resonance that can be created by a group of people, it's amazing what you can do. A question I want to ask you all tonight is, and this is not a test. Did everyone read chapter 3 in the book?
Just 2.
Just 2? Okay. 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 So we haven't gotten to chapter 3, I guess. What I'm going to do for you guys is I want to say something to you. I'm going to take with you as much time as you want me to take with you to go through this journey together, okay? I don't want you to feel pressured in any way by what we're doing here. If it takes us 6 weeks, or if it takes us 10 or 12 weeks, if everybody on this call tonight is okay with us doing this together as a group, then I want you to tell me that now, and we will take as much time as it takes for us to get through this together. Did everybody agree with that, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Helen says yes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Helen says yes.
Okay, Helen, thank you. So we've got Kai, Helen, Kim, Seth, Elizabeth, Darlene, and John and Tegan on the call tonight. Did I miss anybody? Okay. So if you haven't read chapter 3 yet, that's okay, but you've read chapter 2, which is the intro, which gets you started. And chapter 3 is all about honesty. First of all, let me ask this. Does anybody have any questions right now? I'm going to leave the floor open right now. You can unmute and let's talk a little bit about any questions you have about what you've read right now or about what we're experiencing right now together.
I didn't have a question, but I did have a comment.
Okay.
I think you did a great job in explaining the breathing exercise, page 8, just because Darlene was asking about it earlier. So if it helps her to be able to read in a greater depth, like how to do that exercise you were talking about that you started with, I appreciated how you wrote it up on page 8, because I was confused a little bit last week when we did it, but reading that helps me prepare for it tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah. So yeah, Darlene, there's a better description of what the exercise is about, how to do it on page 8. Yeah.
Wow, I'm on page 76.
Any other questions, comments?
It looks like, yeah, it looks like you try, I'm not sure if I'm not clicking on the right thing in the email, but it looks like you sent me an email with the title of your workshop books. But when I click on the link, it looks like it's just like your logo for Hope Institute.
To get the books?
Yeah, so
Okay, so let's walk through that real quick.
do I need to
I'll share
click
my
on the
screen with
link?
you guys. Let me share my screen with you.
Maybe if I
Let's see
click
if we
on the
can do
link
this.
and
I
put the
don't know if
password.
we can do this or not. Let me do this. Let me try it anyway.
Let's see if this will work.
So I'm gonna go to, let's see. Let me just pick a website here. All right, this is, that's my business plan. We don't want to do that tonight.
No.
All right, here we go. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't.
No.
Oh, no, I can.
We have your download.
I can't log into your website either. I was just trying to do that too.
You can't get to my website at all?
No, I can get to your website, but when I click on the link in the email that you sent, I can go to your website. Shoot, let me not now.
What I did was I said I forgot my password and I got a chance to reset the password. And then I was able to log in order to get to the stuff that specifically create a password that was specifically for this program. That's what I had to do.
Try logging in. Okay.
All right, so let's do this. All right, so this is obviously Rick Mabe not being able to control his technology properly.
I mean, do I have to join your email list in order to your?
No, this is on me, because what I did was I took everybody's name, I put you guys in a group, I went into my admin on my webpage, I gave you guys permissions to get in there to see that stuff, and I sent you the email with that link, and I don't know why it didn't work. So that's the issue.
I think I'm in now. I think I just got in.
Oh.
But
click on newsletter, or I want to know now page should bring up those 3 areas, and one of them is the book and workbook. Click on that and it should open up the PDF link and you should open them up.
All right, let's see. Username or password incorrect. That's I used the password you sent.
Yeah, see, yeah, I know what the issue is there.
So
I will correct
Password
that.
doesn't work. You have to just select that you don't have the password. It'll send you an email to reset your password. You
okay.
reset the password and it'll work. That's what I did.
Thank you. Got it.
Yeah, set your own password to get into the site.
Email, enter email address. Okay.
Everybody did get a copy of the book and workbook that I sent you outside that though, right? Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it in the email. You
Yeah,
sent the
good.
PDFs through the email?
Yeah, it looks like you tried to send me the PDFs through the email, but the attachment that you sent when I click on it is your logo. There's no actual attachment for the materials.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
Say
Okay.
what?
Yeah, the email you sent that says your workshop books, the only attachment says outlook-v oak qq4b.jpg, and when I open it, it's your Living Hope Institute org logo that you have in the mid at the end of your signature line in your email address. In your email, I mean, in your email message. It opens up into your logo.
That's really strange. I don't know why that's happening like that. I really don't.
I was able to get it only because I had Darlene go ahead and send it to me, and I saved it. But I wasn't able to get it through the email that you sent me.
Who does not have a copy of my book and workbook?
Well, I think I can reset. Okay, it's letting me reset my password now. Now I can log in. Update
Oh.
password. Perfect.
Okay. Sorry, the rest of everybody, for this little bit of a delay here.
Sorry.
I have to make sure.
Oh, now it says you do not have permission to access this page. I was trying to go to the I want to know now page and it says access denied. Anyway, you can help me later. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, I'm really frustrated by that because I don't, it should work. It seemed like it worked when I tested it, and now it's not working, and that frustrates me, and I apologize. So that means you haven't read anything.
Correct.
Okay, that's not cool. And I really don't understand why you don't have a copy of the book after I sent you the books in an email, which is really kind of goofy. So that is just unacceptable. I apologize for all of that. So you're telling me that this book did not get sent to you? Oh, I see what you're talking about now. That,
Do you see the email you sent to me? It says your workshop books.
did you click download?
I have a Mac. I'm an Apple user, so I have a Mac, and I clicked on the attachment in the email. The only attachment I saw in the email was the one in the where it says let me go back. I clicked on the link that was next to the little paper clippy thingy, because that's usually means there's an attachment. So I clicked on the link that was next to the little paper clippy icon below the from line in the email message, and it opened up into your logo. It didn't open up into the...
Try this one. I'm sending it to you right now. Both of those documents are attached, so I don't know what was going on there. So you should, yeah, my logo is, yeah, that logo is under my signature, and that may show up as one of 3 attachments if you're using a Macintosh. But you should now have in your email both of those ebooks. And if you don't, then we've got a different problem than my technology not working.
Okay.
So I don't understand. Okay, so now let's get back to it here. Back to our meeting. Maybe. All right. So let me know if you get that email, okay?
What's that?
Let me know when you get that email and see if those books open for you.
All right, let's see. I'm going to refresh my mail. Okay, I have not received.
Okay, it might take a minute.
Oh,
All right, so let's go on. Let's move along here. So Helen, you and I can talk one-on-one. We'll do a
Okay.
one-on-one to get you where you need to be with the reading. You get a chance to read. If you still haven't got them, I'll send you a package with them in their hard copy if I need to. We got to get you what you need to be able to do these workshops right.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got the worksheet, and I have your, yeah, I have the PDF.
Are you talking to me?
On the phone.
Okay. You trying to, did you get an email?
Yep. Oh, let me see.
Do you see the attachments?
Right.
Okay, good. All right. So we have breathed. We're warm. We're connected. We are a team. We're going to go through this thing together. And we're going to come out on the other side with what it is you feel like that you need to discover in this journey with us together. Whether it be whatever your essence is, whatever it is you're trying to find out about in this set of workshops with me. Right now, I want to read something to you from Barbara May, my mom, written from reading she got March 5th, 1992, termed Childhood. The catalyst for me to read this to you tonight is that from our child within, or our essence, which is what we're trying to get to on the other end of this thing, is our essence. So I'm going to read this to you right now from the eyes of a child coming into reality. Within the bonds of childhood dwells a being striving to become complete in human form. Within the innocence of childhood dwells the God self, veiled behind the seeming ignorance of worldly action. Within the growth of childhood lies the echo of eternal being, always becoming ever more wisdom and experience. Childhood is the time when the sacred human dwelling in the body shapes itself, matures itself, prepares itself for adult living, work, and love, adult discovery, according to its life design. Therefore, the time of childhood is vitally important. Neglect and suffering within this vital time causes distortion and delay and sometimes failure of the sacred being's great plan in life. Gaze thou on every child with reverence and honor. Know each child entrusted to your keeping is the God self in disguise as a small, imperfect human. Gaze thou upon thy own inward child with deep compassion and forgiveness. For thee, like every being now on Terra, hath been neglected, has suffered pain, and thus has been slowed in going forward. And this is so no matter what the outward circumstances may have seemed to be. True needs of childhood are almost unknown everywhere upon the planet. All humans dwelling now on Terra have been children, or are babes waiting to grow forth as children. Therefore, let thy knowledge of this universal condition be thy guideline in responding to all people. understand each human as a sacred child of God. Understand thy own self in this way. Treat thyself and others with the honor and respect due unto the great creating God force of which all are living parts. There is no other way. All must keep returning to human life as child until this way is learned and understood. Ooh. Ooh. Thanks, Mom. I hope that you get how many people are beginning to emerge from the darkness that has been our great deception for so many millennia. And as you embark on this, I want to thank you. I want to welcome you. I want to tell you that I love you. Because I do. I truly, truly do. For those of you that have known me for a while, you know that I do. And those that have just met me, you will find that to be true. So as I've been saying to you already in our short time together, honesty is not something that we can malign. Honesty is pure in its own sense. For those of you that have not read Honesty yet, there's a story in the beginning about a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his wife decided they're going to go off on a trip. And he's getting old and he wants to retire and he's trying to decide how he's going to leave his farm, what he's going to do with it. So he brings all of his farm hands together. He gives them all seed. And he says, my wife and I are going to go away for a year. I'm going to give you all this seed and I want you to plant it. And depending on how it grows, it will determine how I'm going to move forward with the plans I have for my farm about who I'm going to turn my farm over to and this and that. So he gives them all sacks of seeds, gives them all a plot of land and says, I'll see you in a year. They all plant their seed and the seed doesn't grow. Nothing happens. So most of them, they go out, they buy other seed and they plant it and it grows. Now the farmer had told all these people, this is special seed. It's very special seed. Except for one guy. One guy remembered what the farmer told him. This is special seed, and you can only use this seed. And you have to do what you can. You have to make it grow. So he spent the entire year trying to get this seed to grow, to nurture this seed, and he was so upset. He saw everybody else had gone and grown their seed. Now, he didn't know what the other farmers had done. None of the other farmers knew what each other had done. But everybody else, for some reason, this one farmer, he couldn't grow anything, but everybody else was growing their seed. And he was like, he told his wife, he said, what am I going to do? I guess I fail. I'm a failure. He said, I can't lie. I'm not going to do anything that would dishonor the farmer's request that we grow his seed. He says, so he's starting to prepare to leave, I guess. He's getting ready to leave. He's getting ready to get fired, whatever. And the farmer comes back after a year. And he goes and he visits all the people and he sees all this stuff growing. And he calls everybody to a dinner one night. And he goes up to the table and he goes up before the crowd. And I'm not reading the story here. I'm kind of embellishing a little bit. My memory's a little bit, but anyway, to make a long story short, he stands up in front of everybody And he says, I gave everybody a special bag of seeds, and I told you what to do, and I told you that you had to grow that seed. And I see there's a whole lot of stuff growing out in those fields. Except for one plot, nothing's growing. And he said, I got news for you all. None of you grew my seed because none of that seed was meant to grow. All of that seed was meant to test your integrity and your honor. So he brings the young man up who couldn't grow the seed. And he says to the young man, he says, young man, you're a man of honor. You're a man I can trust. You're a man that I can give my farm to. You will now own my farm, and I will retire knowing that I've turned it over to someone that I can trust, who is honest. That seed was never supposed to grow. So, honesty works in many ways. And as I was telling one of you the other night when I was talking to him, we were talking about how honesty can also be a very dangerous thing. Depending on how honest you decide and how you approach honesty, you can hurt someone pretty deeply when you're very honest with them. You know what I mean? And if anytime anybody wants to share a story of honesty that they would like to share, you just raise your hand or just speak up, unmute yourself and talk. I'm very open at this point. I understand that some of you have not gotten this far in your reading, so we're probably going to have to repeat a few things and answer questions as we go, and that's okay. It's okay. Everybody's agreed to that. As long as you make a promise to me, I want you to, here's an honesty request I have for you. Because it's important for you to get to the other end of this thing, that you do read the book. It's important that you read it. And Helen, I'm sorry that you didn't get it. I thought you had gotten it finally, and so I apologize. But it's important that you read this. I'm not going to sit here every week and read a chapter to you. I don't want to bore you to tears. Oh my God, we'd go to sleep on each other's shoulders, and it just wouldn't be fun at all. So in order for us to get through this together, you have to read the chapters, and you have to, you know, I actually went in the beginning of the book, I say, before you even start the exercises, read the book once through to get an idea where it is you're going with this thing, because it seems very short. I know it seems very short. You know, you see these books like these over here. See this right here? See this? You see that? This times 3 or times another 2 of these turned into this. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out and get these, okay? These are wonderful pieces of work. These are wonderful, okay? And if you're interested in learning about these, tell me where, I'll tell you where you can get a set. No boutique packages of secrets. That's for another day, a whole nother thing. But so what I'm saying to you is, when you dig into that, when we dig into this together, it opens that up in these small pages. So you have to take the time to honestly say to me and to yourself, I'm going to read the book. So I think you understand what honesty is not. Honesty is not something that you use to manipulate different pieces of truth and facts to get your truth. You've heard so many people say, this is my truth. This is my truth. I'm going to tell you what my truth is. So as soon as someone says that to me, I say to myself, okay, but what's your honesty? Right? As I said to you the other day, when you start using the word hope after you're done with this, you're going to start talking about hope a whole different way. You're going to no longer be thinking about how hope is something that you're placing faith in something, some being that is going to hopefully come to be. Hope is going to have a whole different meaning to you all because of the way we're even going into it with honesty right now, right? So like if a man's being prosecuted in a court of law, right? You got the defendant's side, you got the prosecutor's side, and then you got the case. Let's take a car theft as an example.
Mhm.
The prosecutor is going to say the man did this, and this, therefore he's guilty of stealing the car. The defendant's side is going to say, well, this, and this, therefore he's not guilty of stealing the car. Honesty says, somebody made a phone call and said, my car's gone. Cop sees a car going down the road, this guy behind the wheel. The cop goes and stops the car that says, what are you doing in this car? And the guy says, I borrowed it from such and such. And the story turns out to be that, no, he didn't borrow it from anybody. The honesty is that the kid stole the car. So if you were raising your hand in a court of law and you said, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, that's different from raising your hand and saying, I'm honest, so help me God. You see the difference in that, right? Because if you do this, and if you use it, it doesn't matter if you use the Bible or not, but if you use the Bible, I'm honest. You can't manipulate the truth with different facts to make it fit your narrative if you're honest. If you're doing this, I swear to tell the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, then you can do anything you want to make your truth what it is. How many of y'all have heard somebody tell you, this is my truth? Have y'all heard that?
Mhm.
You hear it on TV all the time now. This is my truth. So there's different steps you got to take to get your honesty on, right? There's 5 steps, I believe, in the book. I think it's 5 or 6. It's 5. Yeah, it's 5. Sometimes I got to check myself, make sure, because sometimes I like to throw a little something extra in there, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The key here is you got to change your belief system. Now, before you go crucifying me thinking that I'm trying to get you to change your religious system, I'm not. Whatever your religious thing is on you. I didn't say that. I'm saying you got to change your belief system, which is a whole different bag of worms, okay? Because throughout millennia, and I think that a lot of people are starting to understand what it means to say belief now. Because if you can believe in the concept that says we were created in the image of our Creator God, that's really what you need. That's really what you need to believe going forward. And then if you say that Jesus was helping me to understand that and he's my Savior, absolutely. Or whoever that Savior might be, in the name of God, your Creator, to help you be more in the image of God, then so be it, right? That's honesty speaking to you right there. That right there is honesty. So we did the breathing exercise. The next step of this thing, and some of you have already done this, some of you haven't. I did it this morning at 4:00 a.m. this morning. I looked myself in the mirror and observed myself, because you have to do this periodically, because we're given free will, right? And sometimes we will do things to put barriers up in front of ourselves. I'll give you an example. Like the other day, I had a conversation with some folks about the Hope Institute that I'm trying to get built. And I came away from that conversation feeling pretty much defeated. I felt a little bit defeated over it. And so I went to bed that night feeling pretty much done. I was like, oh man, I don't know about this now. And so the next morning, it was actually 2 mornings later, I got up and I looked at myself and I said, but all I have to do now when I do this, all I got to do is look at myself one time in the eyes, in the mirror, and there's no doubt anymore. While looking in the mirror, say to the image you see, I know I have work to do and I'm ready to look at myself through the lens of honesty in order to realize my hope. Has anybody done that yet? Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
I have not.
Okay. Nobody else has either, Seth. All right, so listen, guys. All right, listen. I'm gonna talk you through this a little bit tonight, but then we have got to get you guys on track here because we got to do this stuff. If you really want to discover what I know and what I've discovered about how to get on the other side of this thing, to get to your essence, to get to the core of your humanity, you got to do this stuff, okay? If you're afraid of it, that's okay. I understand if you're afraid of it. And if you need to talk to me one-on-one, send me an email and we'll talk on the phone or text or whatever, and we'll talk through it. But we really need to do this stuff. Now, I think there's a couple of you on here who may not need to, who may have already looked at the mirror of themselves and may have already saw the image of themselves because they've already gone through some things that caused them to analyze themselves thoroughly. And if that's the case, then okay.
Yeah, it's not something I've done recently, but I've had plenty of experience. In fact, I think the first time that I really had to take a look at myself honestly was over 10 years ago. And I was in a situation, and what ended up happening is that the people who I was dealing with at the time suggested counseling. And when I went and I sat with a counselor, we took a look at my past, and that opened the door for me to take a really good and honest and hard look at myself and be able to start a journey to being honest with myself. And so and being honest with others and finding out why I wasn't and what that stemmed from, and how to not get myself caught up in that again. So it's something that I might revisit every once in a while if I feel like I'm going off track. But for the most part, I can look at myself in the mirror and be very comfortable with who I am as far as being honest and
Okay.
and pure-hearted,
All right. So making that assessment, beginning that process of knowing yourself and looking at yourself is pretty crucial, because there's nothing better to be able to and understand. This is not to pass judgment on the things that you are experiencing or that you've experienced. It's simply to know yourself. To honestly assess where you are, you have to look at yourself. You may not like what you see right that moment, but that doesn't mean anything other than to say that you're in this shell of a body that you have got to get along with. But the eyes are are the tunnel to the soul. And I see that streak right there. See that right there? I got that on a mountaintop when I was getting to know myself. And I think I've shared that with most of you already. Most of you already know about that story, and I can share it again another time. I'll get it when I get to the omnipotence piece of this story. You're going to understand that I am what I am. I'm unique in this. I am real. I'm not trying to bull you guys. This is a real deal. And when I look at here's how you know when your honesty is really starting to work, when this stuff's really starting to work, is when you see a different person in the mirror than what you look at when you first start. And trust me, I'm telling you, it will happen. You will be it won't happen the first time. I guarantee it won't happen the first time. I guarantee it. You've got to go through this stuff for a while before you look in the mirror and you see a different person there. But once you do it, it's going to happen. You're going to look in the mirror, and while you're staring at yourself, you're going to go through a change. When God starts touching you and revealing to you what it is you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, when you're ready to get there, when you're ready to start feeling that power, you're going to see a different person in the mirror. I promise you. I guarantee it. And if I was charging you money for this, I'd tell you that if you don't see a different person within the next few weeks, I'm going to give you your money back. One of the things I wanted to share with you tonight is when I first started going through my change, not when I first started with my change, that is not even true. I've been going through this since 1985. You're not going to take that long because you got people helping you now. You got people like me and Cheyenne and Darlene and others. Helen, you're here. Other people who are already been exposed to this stuff, who are beginning to help others to change. It's not going to take you that long. It took me 30 years. It's not going to take you that long. What happened to me, though, that almost cost me my second wife, was that I was listening to other people trying to put me into a bucket. I went through all this process. I went through this neo-thinking thing, which is all great. It was all good. But I was listening to the hype. I got wrapped up in the hype. I was separated from my wife for several months before I came to the realization that I did not need the hype. They were trying to put me into the bucket of a marketer selling books rather than the man that I am and what I'm doing now. I was going to set up a church, but now I've set up the Hope Institute, which is right where I need to be, which it took me a long time to get through. And the initial calling for my organization was No Hype Hope. Helen, you might remember it. I know Arlene remembers No Hype Hope. Before it became the Hope Institute, I was talking No Hype Hope because that was where I was back in 2010, 2011 timeframe. I don't need the hype. You don't need the hype. I might get hyped up now. I get hyped up when I'm talking to stuff. I get excited. I get fired up. I get ready. I get all kind of excited because of this and because of what I know is in me. But that has nothing to do with hyped up marketing bull. It's time to be honest about where we need to be as human beings It has nothing to do with hyped up marketing. It has to do with finding your essence. All right, so because I denied my honesty and sought a different path that did not match my heart, I delayed my forward progress. Understand that for many of you, you have delayed your progress. Seth, you talked to me about that other day. I'm not going to ask you to get into detail because it's personal, but you did delay your progress. I think we've all delayed our progress in different ways. But once you take your honesty assessment and you really dig into that, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I'm ready to live with honesty in my heart, and I'm going to unlock my honesty navigation system, you're going to take off. Step 3, I want you, when you're looking in that mirror, the next time you do it, when you do this exercise, I want you to write down what you're seeing and what you're feeling. It's powerful because you're heading to the new you. You're heading to the you that's always been there, but has been hidden by the clutter of living. Remember what I read to you from Mom in 1985? Was it 1985? 1992, she wrote about childhood. Remember what she said about the God head inside you in every child. That's beaten out of you. From the time you're old enough to understand, our parents, bless their hearts, unless they were like my mom was, which she didn't get that way until she was older, it's beaten out of us. These belief systems that we should be embracing our omnipotence through honesty, okay? As soon as I started discovering who I am, I started blossoming. And I got the bejesus scared out of me on that mountaintop. It was the most wonderful, powerful thing, but it scared me too. So that's step 3. I want you to write down what you see and experience in the mirror, because you can refer back to it, okay? I feel like I need to stop and ask, is there any comment or questions?
I'm confused because at the end of last week, the instruction was to read chapter 2, and we get to this week and you're supposed to be in 3. Did I miss a week or something? I don't think I missed any.
No, we did introduction to hope last week. We did the introduction to hope last week. You were supposed to read chapter 3 for this week to do the honesty assessment. That's what I thought that's what I said last week.
I could have sworn you said chapter 2 when I watched the video and after the end of the meeting.
All right, well.
Because I was proud that I had it done because I'm not a big reader.
Well, remember this, Seth. It's okay, buddy. Remember this. We went through the introduction last week, and I talked to you about what hope, honesty, openness, pure love and essence, or omnipotence, pure love and essence meant, right? I talked to you about the process, right? Remember that?
So what's chapter 1 then?
Chapter 1 is just an introduction to the workshops don't correlate. The workshops don't necessarily correlate to chapters in the book. Don't misunderstand that. The first couple of chapters are introduction.
Oh.
Chapter 3 is about the honesty assessment.
Okay.
So you're all good. It's all good. So if you haven't read, here's the thing. Here's the good thing, Seth. Nobody's read chapter 3 yet. So we all good. But I don't think you. So what I'm doing right now, we're going at the same pace. Because last week we went through chapters 1 and 2 in the introduction. We all went through that last week. Okay, that's where we went last week. We touched base on the general concept of hope last week. I think everybody got that, right? Everybody got the general concept of hope last week. Am I right? Seth, did you have any questions about chapter 2 that you read?
No, I understood it. I actually, there's a lot of it that I could relate to. I put as I as I was reading, I was putting it to moments of change in my life, the experiences that I went through that helped me through. It helped as I went through the hope, the honesty, and I mean, like I used to be such a bad liar that I saw the damage that it did to people,
Right.
and so I stopped. Plus, I don't have the memory for it anyway. So I'm often, even now, misunderstood. If I'm misunderstood when I'm saying something, and then something said later on that that doesn't 100% match up with what I had said earlier, then I've been accused of lying when I've been honest, and and that really bothers me. But I'm past that. I'm I've moved past that. I live in a positive world now. I don't, and it's from the from a few of it's from some of the experiences that I learned that I cannot hold on to negativity regardless of who or where, because it came from someone that is helping me, and it came from people that were trying to drag me down, and I'm like it's it it has happened to a lot of different people, and I've got to figure out uh where I'm being misunderstood at, where my honesty is being misunderstood for dishonesty, because it really upsets me when I'm accused of dishonesty when I'm being honest. And
Can you remember something for me? I got
what's
an
that?
idea. Here's an idea for you. It's going to take a little bit of effort,
Okay.
but write down, because I've seen how you write. I know how you write things, and it's clear as a bell. So I would say that you need, if you can, carry a journal with you everywhere you go, and every time you say something that you want to make sure you remember, write it down. Because then when someone says that you said something other than that, you can open up that book and say, this is what I said, this is what I meant. And that can take a lot of the guesswork out of somebody trying to explain themselves later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. At the beginning, the misunderstanding, I'm having to explain, and I'm not even given the chance to explain why the misunderstood, or why the misunderstanding was misconstrued as dishonesty. I'm just being flat out not be called dishonest. I didn't get a chance to to explain what was misunderstood. I didn't get it. I didn't get that chance. I was immediately shut. I was immediately called dishonest and shut down. I didn't get it.
Well, and
I
see,
didn't have the opportunity.
that's why, when you see a lot of what's going on around us right now, Seth, it's because people have turned on this other paradigm that's been getting trained in us and beat into us for many, many years, that we've got to overcome. And it's not, and this is not on you. It's on society at large. It's on the American thing. And this is just, I think it just is a part of the American thing. where everybody's being called, everybody's being judged before the facts are even known. People are being judged by the way they tie their shoes. If I can be a stupid analogy of it. I mean, I think that everybody on this call can agree that what's going on in the United States of America right now with the cultural divisions that are being promulgated on us are not supported completely by facts that we understand. And where we are right now, the 7 or 8 of us that are on this call right now are in a position to where we can make shifts in the paradigm. When we learn what we're learning together, we are going to be the change. There are some of us who have been doing this for, like I say, I've been doing this for 30 years, learning and growing and now teaching. I know Darlene's been doing this for I don't know how many years. Sheehan, my dear friend, she's been doing this for at least as long as I've known her. And now you guys are embarking on this too. And some of you have been doing things like this for a long time. It's just that we've just now getting to know you. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we're facing some very, very troubling times right now that even, I don't even know that there have ever been, well, I'm sure they've been faced before, right? I mean, if you're reading the Bible, the thing about Sodom and Gomorrah, remember that story? Anybody remember Sodom and Gomorrah?
Yeah.
Where there was a town in ancient times that got so bad with the corruption and the anti-human behavior that God told some people, run from that town, and if you turn around and look back, I'm going to turn you to a pillar of salt. And that when people started running, some of them stopped and turned back and looked, and they turned into a pillar of salt. It got so bad that the place had to be just burned to the ground. It had to be completely destroyed. Now, this may be a metaphor. The Bible speaks in a lot of ways in metaphors in some of the stories that are told. But a lot of it's fact. I mean, there's a lot of stories in there that are true, that are not metaphors that actually took place. So what I'm trying to say to you now, though, is what we're experiencing right now is another repeat of history. The humans we keep going in these circles of destruction. The Roman Empire. The Catholic Church is going through it now too. The Catholic Church is going through something right now that could cause it to completely be destroyed from within. Sodom and Gomorrah. What else? Nazi Germany. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of civilizations that have been completely and utterly wiped off the planet because of their misuse of universal laws that God created us to have. The misuse of honesty, the misuse of omnipotence, the misuse of pure love, and the neglect of your essence. That will cause us to destroy ourselves. And we're in the midst of that right now, I believe. And we are here to turn that around. You and me, you're here to turn that around for yourself, I believe. You're feeling some spiritual upheaval in your heart. You're feeling that there's honesty, dishonesty is being placed on you. You're feeling like that people are not loving in a pure sense. And you haven't figured out what it is you're supposed to be doing on this planet because nobody's taught you how to figure that out. So Seth, I think you're getting what I'm saying here. It's unfortunate that has happened with you, but it's because someone had not stopped long enough to try to understand what it was you were trying to say or do. When people don't stop long enough before passing judgment, we got a problem. We are not judges of people's right to speak or to live. So, you know, that's where we are right here, y'all. That's why we're here together right now, right? That's why we're here. That's why you're here with me right now. That's why you brought yourself here. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful you're here. So let's get through this thing. I'm going to finish talking about honesty. I'm going to open up the floor. It's getting late. I know you guys are probably getting tired of listening to me spat in my mouth. So once you go through looking at the mirror, writing it down, then it's time for you to figure out what your statement's going to be about what it is you just learned about yourself. In your workbook, in the workbook that I sent you, this little jewel right here, and I call it a jewel because it is. In my opinion, this is the catalyst right here. This is the baby right here. You need to go in there and do your, and I really want you guys to do this for next week, okay? Let's if you can read chapter 3, then we'll talk. Yeah, there you go. Helen's got it. If you could do this next week, the honesty assessment will help you to define where you need the most work in defining your character and value to society. Take each of the following questions and look at yourself very closely when you ask yourself the questions. In the book, I ask that you look at yourself in the mirror, but you can also do this by sitting still and just reflecting on the question and what you feel about the circumstances surrounding you. And when you're done, you must reward yourself by defining a feel-good honesty statement and your honesty affirmation and enter it into the space provided. If you're not sure about it, go back to the lesson and read the book lesson again. There's no hurry, you have time, right? So some of these questions that are in here is assess whether you're in a safe environment, assess whether you're happy with yourself, assess whether you're emotionally satisfied, assess if you have a good job, assess whether you're educated, assess whether you're honest in every way, assess whether people like you, assess that you know where you are, or assess that you know why you're here. Excuse me. If you have the time to get up every morning and just do that, force yourself to do it. I know it's hard. Sometimes I have a hard time doing it. But try to do it every morning. Try to assess yourself in the morning. Look in the mirror. I am a knowledgeable, powerful, wisdom, wise human being. Now, I spoke to you about your honesty navigation system a little bit when I showed you the picture of the Veluvian man. Arms out, heart, brain. Your heart is the most powerful organ in your body. It's the transmitter of the messages that tell your brain what to do. There is a document that you can read, and I'll try to find it and send it to you. It talks about how powerful your heart can be. Your heart is a transmitter. It emanates energy. That has been proven recently. Get a book, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief by Greg Braden. It's referred to in the book. You don't have to remember tonight. It's in the book on page 737. The Spontaneous Healing Belief by Greg Braden is a definite must read for all of us who are learning how to use the heart muscle better. It isn't just meant to pump blood. It's meant to help the brain function. It tells the brain what to do. Your heart honesty navigation system is like your conscience. It's connected to your soul. Your soul resides in your heart. Do you guys know why I'm connected to you in so many ways? Do you have an idea of why?
Shared life experiences.
What's that?
Shared life experience.
Yes. Yes. That's it. I told you last week a lot about that. I don't need to go into it in detail. I have killed people. I have killed a person. I'm not going to exaggerate. That's a bad thing to do. I have taken life. I have strung myself out on drugs. I have struggled with my sexual reality. I have struggled with relationships with my wife and my kids. So I have stolen. I have done things. On the flip side of that, I have fed the homeless. I have clothed the homeless. I have taken people off the street. I have been the victim. I have been harmed in ways that are unfathomable to many people. That's why I'm here. I know that's why I'm here. I'm here because I have been there and I understand. And because you have picked up this book and because you are here now, you are where you need to be to get where you need to be. All right. I think now you have a clear understanding of honesty. I want you to remember that from now on, you're going to change and you will be the change in your way of thinking. You will be the change. Okay? Remember what I said to you about affirmations last week? You now should have this book. And inside here is a whole chapter, a whole bunch of pages that look like that. That's called your affirmation journal. Right? Start recording your affirmations. And your honesty statement can be made up with your affirmations as well. Because this book right here, y'all, this book right here, at the end of it, as I said to you before, in the end of it, there is a thing called your strategy. Because here's the thing. I'm done talking about honesty right now. This is where I want to wrap up tonight, and I'll let you guys talk. There are a bunch of you right now who are in a place where you want to make something happen. Am I right?
Yeah.
I feel like that there is a team waiting to be born, and that perhaps some of the people that are on this call may be looking for a way to be part of a team in building perhaps a new paradigm in life. And if that's the case, that's great. Some of you are going to continue to do the individual thing, and some of you are going to come together as a team. But at the end of this right here, you're going to develop a value deployment guide for yourself. This is so important. It's just right here. The title of this is My Strategic Plan, right here, right? Because after you do your honesty assessment, after you connect with God through your omnipotence and understand the responsibility and accountability of the power that God gave you in his image, after you understand the positivity of pure love in everything you do with humans and your planet, then you're going to start connecting with the essence that God created you to have. And once you do that, then now you've got to go out there and make it happen. Am I right? You're going to have to develop a vision board that shows what it is you're going to try to do. What it is you're going to do, excuse me. You're not trying to do anything. You're going to do it. So you're going to have a 50,000 foot look at yourself. I'm going to read this to you one more time. I think I read it to you last week. 50,000 feet look at yourself. First thing is going to be your value proposition. Look at your life vision and develop a statement that answers how you contribute your value to the universe, knowing now what your life vision requires. This is sometimes called a mission statement. The product in your life plan is your life and you, and so describe the product. The perfect customer. Your market is some segment or segments of the universe, and you are delivering your value to that same universe that provided you with your essence, meaning God. How would you describe your market? Marketing, briefly describe how you will market your product to the universe so that your value contribution will be successful. And then your infrastructure. What do you need to have in place to support the implementation of your strategy? Now, what did I just say? What is that? That's you. Okay, I'm done. Questions, answers?
Yeah, can you send me an after we're done again? Can you resend me the video of our class so that I can go over it again so that I can catch what I missed?
Yeah, for this class right here, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like we did last week.
Yes, sir.
I rewatched it before I read, and it made it easier to intake the information. I'm looking at what you were talking about in the workbook down at the bottom after that affirmation, page after page after page, down at the 50,000 feet look. I'm
Right.
looking at that right now, and strategic plan for mind development. Okay, now we'll get the book read before we start all this, right?
Say it one more time, Seth.
We got to get the book read before we start all this, right? Or are we
No, I
supposed to be
don't.
doing this as we
I
go?
don't. You don't have to. That's one of the things that I recommend people try to do is try to read as much as they can. But I don't want to hold up your progress because you haven't read the whole book. Hello?
Yeah.
So what I do want you to do, here's what I want everybody to do, because nobody has read the book at all yet, I don't think, except for Seth and Helen. I want you guys to read through chapter 3 before next week, okay? Here's what we'll do.
Are we reading? I've read some of the book. That's how I knew where the breathing exercise was.
Okay. Okay.
I think I'm in. I couldn't answer the question because I've just been reading it, and I've been reading it on my computer, so I'm just scrolling through the pages. So I honestly wasn't sure where I was. But
Okay.
you want us to read through chapter 3 because we're going to continue to talk about chapter 3, or should we finish up through chapter 4 because we're going to start chapter 4 next
No,
week?
I think we're going to do this backwards. I think we're going to do it a little bit backwards.
Okay.
I'm going to talk next week about chapter 4. And then you guys the following week can read chapter 4. Okay? So you
So
guys
you want
can,
to discuss it first, and then we can read it. So you kind of give us the introduction, and then that'll be like the
that's what
follow.
I'll do.
Okay.
That's what I'll do. So I want you to read chapter 3 this week, okay? Promise me you're going to read chapter 3 though. Everybody read chapters up through chapter 3. Can everybody do that for me?
No problem.
Darlene, John,
Yes.
Keegan?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll read it.
Kai? Yeah, Kai already answered.
You already spoke the first 3 pages of it, telling the story.
Yeah, so it
I
should
have
be an
a
easy read, right?
Yeah, right?
I have a comment
Yes, Darlene?
that might be helpful. In the PDF that you send out that is now called the strategy workbook, that was the essence navigation workbook.
Yes.
Is if a person thinks of it again as your essence navigation workbook, and as well as the strategy. And if you take that PDF and if you go to page 11 and 12, I I'm going to tell you, this is where I start everyone, is because in that strategic plan, what Rick is attempting to present to you here is helping you to learn how to create your strategy plan or your strategic plan. And he read from what is on page 12, and he said it the 50-foot look. Okay, in my workbook, I put from 50,000 feet look. It is much easier when you clarify something. To me, when I went through, I had confusion. Okay, until I got clarity. And the way I got clarity was figuring out what Rick was talking about is from the 50,000 foot level. How high can I fly? Is what I, and so that might help you in your workbook to think about that page where it says 50,000 feet look. You know, when I first thought of it, I looked at it as looking forward, like as a mile when you're on the ground and
Right.
walking. But when I started looking at it from the mountaintop, and then how high can I fly over that mountain? So then all underneath all of that, then he talks about the value proposition and the project, the perfect customer, the marketing, the infrastructure, and all of that. Because to me, when you go to these 2 pages first and get an idea, you're telling your brain what you want it to do. What is your desired result from this? I desire to create my strategic life plan. And
Yeah.
when you grasp it, then you understand the power that's within the whole program. But this is where, when we begin understanding something, when you're at the point of confusion, stop, go back to the point of clarity and start over again. And always work to stay at the point of clarity. Does that help anybody? I hope.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
That does make sense. Yes. Thank you, Darlene.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Now, another thing that I'm going to make a suggestion that I may offer to add this is I am going to go back to opening and keeping my conference room open 24/7. And the Tempt would be to get people from all around the planet, 1 person in every time zone, in order to keep the conference room always open. And that would be fun to get together sometimes and actually read, because there are people like Seth who don't particularly like, you know, he's not proficient at the reading. It's a challenge, but it's wonderful to follow along when somebody is reading. But not everybody wants to do that. So by that would be an option, and it's a great way for people to start communicating and getting together. So maybe between now and next week, I might be able to have that up and running for us to start looking at it, because I'm getting ready to launch a global, actually it's a universal initiative, but we work on the planet, so a lot of times it's called. We have been studying as a group on our Saturday night call the Global Wealth Power book by Eric Savage, and this is one that Rick and Cheyenne and some of us, I don't know if anybody else on the call comes from the Neotech Neothink group, but this is where Rick and I originally met, was in that group of people. And we began realizing in our Saturday night call that people really were not reading the material. They'd say they were. Well, then how come you don't get it? Are you really reading it? Well, what we were beginning to understand is, without having commentary sometimes, without stopping and explaining something, they were left at the state of confusion. So if they were on page 2 and they were in a state of confusion, everything they were trying to read past that, the brain wasn't getting it. So we
Yeah.
began to realize that we had to do brain programming and brain clarification. So this is something that that we could add to this as a way for those in this class to start meeting and reading it if they would like to. Because by having the PDF, you can actually bring the PDF up in the room as you're reading it. You can do it in a Zoom room. I don't like Zoom, so I use another system that I can keep open all the time. And so maybe Rick and I can talk about that and see if we can coordinate that and
Yeah.
go from there. Because I think
Well,
that would be, because if any of you are specifically are wanting to do what I would suggest that Rick began doing, is creating certified teachers, presenters, so that we could have local meetups, local gatherings, so that you could build your group of people that are actually working at this level of consciousness that we have to have on this planet to transcend all this horrors that we're dealing with. And I personally think that we are getting ready to go into another 10 years of wonderful, wonderful achievements on this planet that are going to come out of this year of turmoil and chaos. And we're going to need more and more, you know, if you want to call it disciples, apostles, somebody that's going to take this message to the world and be there to teach them. And Rick wants to get this institute going. Well, this is the perfect way to do it. So who knows, you all may be the first group of his apprentices.
You may be. I'm actually working on that right now. I'm setting up the core group of people that are going to build that first institute and actually be on that first institute training and helping other people. So
Remember, I've been running the Art of Living Academy since the 1970s. So
yeah, I know.
that's you know, that's a long time, but I built it for my children, and my children helped me to build it. You know, and that's, you know, that's why we are so adamant about bringing forth the gardens of Eden, because by gardening you begin to realize how to do this stuff. How do you actually take care of this planet? You're a steward of this planet, and this is part of your life plan. And when you begin to realize just how reality based this is not some pie in the sky type stuff. This is truly reality based, and anyone can use it. And so
Right.
anyway, thank you, Rick, for stepping forward and doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate. Thank you all for coming. And is there anything else? Okay, I want to close with reading one more piece of poetry. I shall be coming back to you from seas, rivers, sunny meadows, glens that hold secrets. I shall come back with my hands full of light and flowers. I shall bring back things I have picked up, traveling this road or the other. Things found by the sea or in the pine wood. There will be a pine cone in my pocket, grains of pink sand between my fingers. I shall tell you of a golden pheasant's feather. Will you know me? And that comes from I Shall Come Back from Hilda Conkling, age 10, 1922. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Night. Thank you.
Good night.
And
Wonderful.
those
God
of
bless
us that will be
everybody.
able to,
Good night.
see the rest of you in a half hour, less than a half hour on the Tuesday evening call. We're full on Tuesdays and Thursdays, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, okie doke. Take care.
God bless
Love
you, everybody.
y'all.
You too.